Good morning, everyone. Amazon flash briefing.
Jamie, here's your flash briefing. In NPR News.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Corva Coleman. Forecasters say another strong round of storms will hit central California later this week. The air will be warmer. The astonishing amounts of snow that have already fallen in California will start to melt rapidly, triggering sudden and possibly disastrous flooding. National Weather Service meteorologist David Rowe says the snow is still falling in mountainous parts of California.
We're going to stay in our cold and showery weather pattern here through the next 2 to 3 days through midweek. We're expecting several more feet of snow in the mountains and just some rain and maybe some afternoon thunderstorms in the lower elevations down in the Central Valley.
Forecasters are starting to tell people to be prepared to evacuate from flood-prone areas. Stormy weather across much of the southern and midwestern U.S. over the weekend has left at least a dozen people dead. At least 3 people perished in Alabama. 5 people have been killed in Kentucky. The site poweroutage.us says more than 130,000 customers in Kentucky are still in the dark. In Texas, rice farmers will not receive water for their crops from the state this year. From member station KUT, Mose Bushell reports this decision comes as drought continues to grip Texas.
Low reservoir levels upstream from the Texas Rice Belt near the Gulf Coast automatically triggered the cutoff under a state water plan. Speaking by phone from his tractor in Colorado County, Craig Gutman said the announcement is bad news for more than just rice farmers like him.
The local economy is going to take a major hit. It all starts with rice. And rice has to have water.
Rice farming is water intensive. Many have wondered how much longer it will continue in Texas as droughts intensify and water demand from cities grows. For NPR News, I'm Mose Bushell in Austin.
Stocks open higher this morning as investors wait for testimony from Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell this week. NPR's Scott Horsley reports the Dow Jones Industrial Average rose more than 55 points in early trading.
Powell appears before a Senate committee tomorrow and a House panel on Wednesday. It's a chance for the Fed chairman to address some of the economic signals that have come out since the last Fed meeting a month ago. Inflation has remained stubbornly high, and the job market is unusually strong. That means the central bank may have to keep interest rates higher for longer to bring prices under control. China's economic policymakers are calling for a relatively modest growth this year. Government planners say they want the economy to grow by 5%. That's the lowest target in 3 decades. Last year's target was 5.5%, but the actual growth rate was well short of that, thanks in part to strict COVID-19 restrictions. Scott Horsley, NPR News.
Makes our prices go up,
On Wall Street, the Dow is now up about 75 points at 33,465. The Nasdaq is up more than 50 points. This is NPR. It was 1 month ago today that a powerful earthquake blasted southern Turkey and northern Syria. More than 50,000 people have been killed. Millions of others have been injured and displaced. There have been thousands of strong aftershocks. In France, President Emmanuel Macron has just returned from a key trip to Africa. It was meant to reset France's relationship with the continent. NPR's Eleanor Beardsley reports Macron is pressing for a renewed partnership with African nations.
Macron called France-Afrique a thing of the past. That's the term describing how Paris often prioritized commercial gain and supported autocratic regimes in its former colonies. Macron said France's new Africa policy would pursue commercial interests with respect and humility, and any military bases would be co-run with host nations. Macron is responding to a wave of anti-French sentiment in sub-Saharan countries like Central African Republic, Burkina Faso, and Mali. That resentment is encouraged by Russian military group Wagner, which has stepped in and is amplifying misinformation about France. Macron's 18th visit to Africa follows recent Africa tours by high-level U.S., Russian, and Chinese officials, also seeking closer ties to the continent. Eleanor Beardsley, NPR News, Paris.
In Egypt, officials who run the Suez Canal say a container ship briefly got stuck yesterday in the vital waterway. Tugboats got it out, and the ship resumed its voyage. In 2021, a container ship got stuck in the Suez Canal. It held up traffic for 6 days. I'm Corva Coleman, NPR News.
It's Oscar season, and the Pop Culture Happy Hour podcast doesn't want you to show up on the red carpet unprepared. We'll help you sort through the nominees and separate the best from the rest. And we might even help you dominate your Oscars pool. Listen to the Pop Culture Happy Hour podcast from NPR.
Listen to this podcast sponsor-free on Amazon Music with a Prime membership or any podcast app by subscribing to NPR News Now Plus at plus.npr.org. That's plus.npr.org.
In NASA news, NASA has selected PCI Productions LLC of Huntsville, Alabama to manage communication services for all agency centers including headquarters, as well as its mission directorates to enable the widest practicable and appropriate dissemination of NASA information. NASA will hold a media teleconference at 12 p.m. EST Tuesday, March 7th to provide an update on data analyzed thus far on the agency's Artemis I moon mission, the first integrated flight test of the agency's Space Launch System, SLS, rocket, uncrewed Orion spacecraft, and associated ground systems. Crew members assigned to NASA's SpaceX Crew 6 mission are in orbit following their successful launch to the International Space Station at 12:34 a.m. EST Thursday from Launch Complex 39A at NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida. The international crew are the agency's 6th commercial crew rotation mission with SpaceX aboard the orbital laboratory. NASA has awarded the Systems Engineering Advanced Services (SCAS) contract to Macaulay Associates Incorporated of Bellevue, Nebraska. NASA and SpaceX are targeting no earlier than 12:34 a.m. EST Thursday, March 2nd to launch the Crew 6 mission to the International Space Station. Liftoff of SpaceX's Falcon 9 rocket and Dragon spacecraft will be from Launch Complex 39A at NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida. In weather. In Seattle, there's a special weather statement in effect until Monday, March 6th, 9:30 a.m. The current weather is 36 degrees Fahrenheit with mostly cloudy skies. Today's forecast has showers, with a high of 48 degrees and a low of 34 degrees.
Special showers
From
today?
NASA. NASA has
All right,
selected
Amazon.
PCI
Off.
LLC of Huntsville,
Amazon.
Alabama.
Off. Amazon. Tell us a joke.
Who was the sweetest knight of the round table? Sir Up.
Yep. So I heard that one before. All right, everybody. Have a great day. Just cut flowers today, basically. Not much going on in the news.